Hey there, comic book community. My name is Joe, and you're watching 360 Comics. It's been almost a month since I picked up a massive comic book collection of about 24 long boxes, by far the biggest collection I've ever purchased. In other videos, I showed off the slabs that I got, as well as the higher-end books. But today, I'm going to show you the rarer stuff, the oddities, variant covers, signed books, and even some things that I've never seen before. At the time of recording this video, we are less than 15 subscribers away from our goal of 1,500, at which point we'll be giving away this Incredible Hulk 377, the first appearance of Professor Hulk, to one lucky winner. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. That's one entry. Now check out the rest of our videos from the month of March, like those videos, and leave a comment for an additional entry per video. Check them all out to maximize your chance of winning. And don't forget, follow over on Instagram and whatnot as well. The original owner of this collection had such a widespread array of the things that he collected. In fact, there were almost as many indie books as there were Marvel, and far more indie books than there were DC. Not only that, but he was collecting variant covers. You could tell that he definitely attended conventions because there were not only convention exclusive covers, but also a lot of signed books, which means he probably waited in line and got some signatures and might have even ordered some signed stuff online as well. That being said, we're going to go through some of the oddities and rarer things and more interesting pieces that I found in this massive collection. So let's start off with the signature books. I haven't gotten the full total count yet, but I estimate there to be well over 100 books in this collection signed by various comic book creators, but the one who I saw the most of was definitely J. Scott Campbell. Now check out this amazing cover right here, featuring Hobgoblin. This is the Virgin variant of the J. Scott Campbell exclusive cover of Amazing Spider-Man 800, and guess what? It even has this nice COA on the back. In fact, most of the signed books in this, I'd say probably 60 or 70%, do come with a COA. I believe that he was either subscribed. I'm not sure if J. Scott Campbell is one of the artists that has a subscription service, but if he does, I'm pretty sure this guy had to be subscribed because he was getting a ton of J. Scott Campbell stuff. This cover really stuck out to me as one of the coolest ones. It's the Virgin variant, so we don't see any words on the cover, none of the trade dress or anything like that, or the price. We just see the Green Goblin with this stark white background and in green marker. Love to see that at the bottom, J. Scott Campbell's signature, which I've seen so many times going through this collection that I feel like I could verify his signature at this point. Going to some more J. Scott Campbell stuff that really stuck out. This is Amazing Spider-Man 2 from volume, I guess this is probably volume 4 or 5. It's legacy number 803. So shortly thereafter this book, an amazing Peter and Mary Jane cover. And I believe this was like the throwback Peter and Mary Jane, kind of more their original depiction, as well as this like kind of like tanned background, kind of makes it look like an older comic book than it is. And again, signed by J. Scott Campbell. Now, this next book is a variant of the same one, and notice kind of the same picture, similar but a more recent interpretation of Peter and Mary Jane. One where Peter is wearing the mask, Mary Jane's got, you know, the current style of hair, as well as, you know, some skimpier clothing, which J. Scott Campbell is kind of known for. And then there was also the Virgin variant of this same one, again, signed up there in red marker. Love that signature. I haven't decided what I'm doing with these yet. When you get books signed, you either need to get them witnessed by a CGC overseer, a witness, or you need to send them to CBCS. CBCS has an outside service that does signature verification. CGC does not. So you don't want to end up getting, you know, a green label or something like that. or a diminished grade saying that, it's signed, you want to make sure you get it verified so you can get that nice yellow signature series label. Now, personally, I'm not big on signature series books, but there's even some in this collection that I'm going to be keeping because they're so freaking cool. Anyway, next we got a Vampirella sketch cover, and this is signed down at the bottom by Joe Mad. Not super familiar with Vampirella, despite really liking horror. This the whole vibe here, not really my thing, but really dedicated fan base to these like Dynamite series, Red Sonja, Vampirella, all that kind of stuff. And this is a really cool sketch cover, and I like that the sketch is in red instead of the typical black. And being signed just adds a little bit to that. This next one is actually triple signed. We got J. Scott Campbell, of course, on this one, but then we also have a J. Michael Straczynski signature and a third signature at the bottom that I can't tell who it is. I'm not sure. I don't recognize this one. It's certainly not someone that I think is a bigger name. Now, like the real big names, it might be Romita Jr. He worked on this, but I don't recognize that. Usually he writes JRJR, which is John Romita Jr. This does look like it starts with an R, so maybe he changed his signature, and I haven't seen this one before, but I'm not really sure. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out, but I thought this one was cool because it is triple signed, and definitely hold on tight because there's a really nice triple signed book coming at the end of this section. Then we got an Avengers Invaders book, number 1, and this is a Dynamic Forces kind of thing. And what happened here was Joe Rubinstein was commissioned by Dynamic Forces to not only sign but also sketch 499 of these with different Marvel characters. And I'm not sure if there's any like duplicates of characters or if it's actually 499 different Marvel characters. That's pretty cool. This one, obviously, J. Jonah Jameson on the front, looking crazy as always, high blood pressure. But yeah, really cool. It's numbered. This is number 65 out of 499. And this does come with the certificate of authenticity. And a lot of these, by the way, like I mentioned before, a lot were J. Scott Campbell. Also a lot of them were Dynamic Forces, whether it was a Dynamic Forces exclusive variant or they commissioned the artist's signature, did a private signing or something like that. But yeah, this one super cool to have an original artwork piece by Joe Rubinstein. And this next one, oh man, who doesn't love some Steranko? Not an artist that has had that much work done. He's obviously been around for a very long time, but like compared to someone who's been around as long as him, I feel like there aren't as many Steranko covers out there. And maybe I'm just missing them. Maybe they're not really in the runs that I collect, but nonetheless, we got a Steranko sketch cover here, signed right at the top by him, of Captain America. I forget what issue this is. We got, issue number 700. Very nice. Definitely a really cool thing for any Steranko fan. Oh man, this next one. Another mega popular artist. And again, with a COA here. This is an Alex Ross variant cover of Star Wars number 1. When Marvel regained the rights to Star Wars in 2014, they rebooted the run at number 1, and this guy is numbered number 12 out of only 25. This was is this Dynamic? Yeah, Dynamic Forces again, and yeah, number 12 out of 25. A very rare book. I believe there were other versions of this that were also signed by Alex Ross, but he used a different color. I think it was like a white marker, and those are more common. This one with the silver marker, only 25 of them signed like this with the COA, so pretty freaking rare there. This next one, I gotta keep one of these for myself. Love Greg Capullo's art. And perfect placement of this signature in yellow right here from Greg Capullo. This is Batman number 1 from the New 52 reboot. Really popular run from New 52. And guess what? I did say I was going to keep one of these. Because look at that. Right on the back. two of the same book signed by the same artist. I might end up sending both of these in because I was looking at them and they are pretty darn flawless. I think these could possibly get the 9.8, and that Capullo signature makes it even cooler. Especially it's in yellow, and with the yellow trade dress and the yellow label at the top. Oh, that might be one for the personal collection. Now, I didn't notice the signature on this initially. I was wondering, I was like, why is this book in a hard case? It's not one of the more expensive books. It is still polybagged, but I was really surprised. This is only like a $20, $25 book. Even 9/8s are barely over $100, maybe like $120, $125. But it's Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man 1, and eventually I noticed right there, it's in silver, so it's kind of hard to see. There we go. Nice angle for you there. Todd McFarlane signed Spider-Man #1. Now, it is signed on the poly bag, so I don't want to take this thing out of the poly bag like I normally would with most comics that are in poly bags, because the signature wouldn't be there anymore. So this one might be one for the personal collection as well. This was actually the first comic book I ever owned, and I still have my original copy, unfortunately with a little tape pull at the bottom that happened when I was like 10 or 12 years old. But yeah, this is the book that started it all for me. I got it for my 5th birthday from my dad's friend, and now I got a signed copy by Todd McFarlane. Can't really complain about that. Now, the last three here, these are pretty crazy ones. These are the one signature you really want to see, in my opinion. Obviously there are plenty of creators that have passed on and stuff like that you can't get their signature anymore. And some of them, passed away a long time ago. So it's really hard to find their signature, like, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. But man, Stan Lee. And of course, Stan Lee signing Spider-Man, even better. This is that 50th anniversary of Spider-Man book. Forget what issue this is, like 692, I think. There were a bunch of different covers of this book because it was, the 50th anniversary, all that. This one is a throwback of Spidey and Gwen Stacy back from the Silver Age. I believe this was called like the 70s, or was it the 60s or the 70s? They had, some of them had decades tied to them, but either way, Stan Lee signed Spider-Man book. Can't get much better than that. But wait a second. What would have been a Stan Lee signed Batman book? You heard me right. Now, this was a little crossover Stan Lee did with DC. This is actually entitled, just imagine, Stan Lee's Batman. So this was a Stan Lee written Batman story, and I actually could not find any copies online of Stan Lee's signature on this book. So might be pretty hard to find. I guess when you think about Stan Lee's signature, you think about it being on X-Men or Spider-Man, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, some of the characters that he created. Batman not being one of them. And you know what? If you're going to get Stan Lee to sign a DC book, this is definitely one of them to get. This is such a quirky one that I feel like I almost have to keep this in my personal collection just because it's so weird. And, I might never have a chance to get a book like this ever again. So probably going to keep that one. We'll see. Now, the last signature book before we move on to some really cool variant covers, another triple sign book, just like we had before. I mentioned Todd McFarlane before. I mentioned J. Scott Campbell before. And I mentioned Stan the Man Lee before. What about all three on the same cover? This is Amazing Spider-Man 648. It is one of those blank sketch covers or blank, I forget what just blank covers? Is that what they call them? Anyway, it usually get like a sketch done on it, or you commission an artist to recreate a cover, or do whatever they want, or you just get 3 huge name signatures on it. 3 of the biggest creators in regards to this character. J. Scott Campbell has some of the most memorable Spider-Man covers ever. Todd McFarlane did incredible things on ASM in the 80s, and then Spider-Man in the 90s, and of course Stan Lee, the guy who came up with the character to begin with back in the early 60s. These 3 on one cover, way too cool. This is another one that's going to be really hard to get rid of. I'm so tempted to keep a lot of these weird oddity pieces in my personal collection. Let's move on to some variants now, though. I had this one up in the beginning, and this is Spider-Man 606, and this is a variant cover where, it's like a partial sketch cover. We have Mary Jane and Peter, without any colorization on them, but Black Cat still colored in. And, as you can see, compared to the regular cover, quite the difference there. Both of these very, very coveted. In fact, just the regular cover A for this sells for like 60, 70 bucks, I think. A pretty nice one. Then we got this one per store variant of Amazing Spider-Man #1, Legacy 802. There were a lot of copies of this book in the collection, various covers. I think he might have got all or most of them. But this one is pretty cool because one per store variants usually aren't very rare because a lot, every store gets one, and, say a 1 in 25 variant. Well, not every store is going to order 25, so those are often more rare. Well, guess what? Amazing Spider-Man, probably every store ordered at least 25, or at least the vast majority of stores ordered at least 25. And I bet some ordered 50, 75, 100 and got multiple copies of 1 in 25 variants, but they still only got one per store variant. So this one is a little bit harder to find. Love this cover. Spider-Man in the middle. We got a bunch of different supporting characters. We got Green Goblin, Electro, Rhino, Black Cat, and we even have the symbiote suit on the side. Definitely a hodgepodge of different Spider-Man characters. Love that. This one, there were a bunch of copies of this book, and I think this will forever be a coveted cover. We got Invincible Iron Man #1, the photo variant cover featuring Robert Downey Jr. in the role as Iron Man. Iconic. I think Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is equally, if not more iconic than Michael Keaton as Batman. Yes, I said it. I think that he will always be remembered as Iron Man. That movie kicked off the MCU. Not only that, but, up until his untimely death, he was such a mainstay, as kind of a central character in the MCU. And Robert Downey Jr. did an incredible job in the role. No one can deny that. Great cover. And like I said, there were multiple copies of this one. Some might get sent out to CGC. This one, I know. I'm a Philly guy. I'm a Flyers fan, but this cover's pretty cool. I gotta give it to them. I'm, very anti-Pittsburgh Penguins, but at the same time, pretty cool cover, a little hockey cover. It's always great when comics cross over with other hobbies and interests, such as sports. And this was from Pittsburgh Comic-Con. It was an exclusive. There's only 350 available, and this is from, Grimm's Fairy Tale? Grimm Fairy Tales versus Wonderland. Indie stuff, I'm not super knowledgeable or into those titles, so this is not one that I'm going to keep, especially because it's a Pittsburgh Penguins one. If it was a Flyers one, I'd probably keep it. But anyway, cool crossover between, two different interests and hobbies, and a pretty limited cover, only 350 printed, like I said. Then we're moving on to, oh man, love this. John Tyler Christopher, negative space variant of Star Wars #1. I think this looks magnificent. Absolutely perfect. This image from A New Hope. We got Han and Luke in the Stormtrooper uniform sneaking around the Death Star, doing their thing. And we've got Princess Leia over there, in her all white and, the white background, the negative space cover, all that stuff. Love to see. And we even got the Stormtrooper helmet kind of in the corner there. Looks so cool. John Tyler Christopher, pretty well known for doing these negative space covers every once in a while. And this one is a really cool one from quite a long time ago. About 8 years ago this came out, I believe. This next one is an interesting book, and it's sometimes harder to find. This is The Incredible Hulk vs. Venom. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe you had to send away to get this. It wasn't a book that you could just grab off the shelf when it came out. You had to send in a proof of purchase or enter some kind of drawing. I'm not really sure the details of it, and I couldn't find them online. So if you do have the exact details, please leave that down in the comments below. Nonetheless, this book sells for $40 to $50 raw and a couple $100 in a 9/8. Not only that, but there are very few but they're out there, versions of this that the foiling is missing. Those are really rare. Be on the lookout at all times for them because they are extremely expensive. Even mid-grade copies, I believe, sell for like well over $1,000, and high-grade copies can get very, very high up there. Those error printings of foiling stuff in the 90s, are really coveted, and this was not a regularly distributed book, so it's going to be even more rare. Be on the lookout for that. I've found this book in the wild so many times. It's been in collections, but I've never found the first printing, which has the green text on it. That's how you know. I think there's 7 or 8 printings. Go look on Key Collector. They're a great resource for this book. They let you know which printing is which, but this one right here, a really nice high-grade first printing of Batman, the Killing Joke. One of the greatest one-shot stories, one of the greatest origin stories, just one of the greatest pieces of comic book history ever written. We got Alan Moore writing it. We got Brian Boland doing the art. Unforgettable classic. Love to find that anywhere. And like I said, that is the first time I've found that in a collection or, in the wild anywhere, that it was the first printing. Usually you get one of the various other colors of the rainbow, showing a different printing. This next group of stuff was all indie books, ones that I've never found in the wild before, but I was happy to find them all together. We got Simpsons Comics #1 with this Fantastic Four #1 homage cover. We got Homer popping out of the ground, and really cool cover. And Simpsons, just a forever popular franchise. And this is a great little, again, a little crossover between two interests, an extremely popular television show that has been on TV forever and comic books. There wasn't just that. There was also Bartman #1. There was Itchy and Scratchy #1. And there was, I believe this is kind of like the most expensive one of these, Radioactive Man #1. All of these really, really high grade, nicely taken care of. I feel like this guy did not read a lot of his comics because most of them are really, really, really nice looking. I think he was more of a speculator, a collector than he was a reader, which, bodes well for me, who bought the collection. There was also a Simpsons Comic and Stories #1. I believe this came out a little bit later, but just has a really classic cover here of Bart dressed up as Bartman. Anyway, there was those, and there was this one other one right here, not Simpsons related. Now there are actually tons of different like television properties, from like Alf to Muppet Babies, and I showed in my other video, there's Masters of the Universe and Thundercats and stuff like that. Tons and tons of that kind of stuff. Captain Planet. But I just pulled these out because Simpsons are really popular. I always get people asking about them. And Sonic, one of my favorites. This is not the first appearance of Sonic. This is Sonic #0. This was like the second run, the first of the second run of Sonic. But really stoked to have this one and this book staying in my personal collection, which is why I kind of wanted to show it off in this video. Let's move on now to some interesting pieces right here. These 4 were available as variant covers, essentially, in the, I guess, the mid-90s. I don't really remember the date. I remember these coming out, so they probably were like 96, 97. At which point I was like going to the comic store and looking around and stuff like that. But we got the Amazing Spider-Man #408, and this is a variant cover, not the regular cover for 408. And you see it's polybagged, and in the polybag is actually a cassette. I'm going to read what it says on the front. It says, limited edition pack featuring the original Spider-Man TV theme song performed by the Ramones and other songs from MCA's upcoming Saturday morning cartoons greatest hits CD. So this was, some promotional item to get people to, be interested in and buy this promotional CD that was coming out. And they were, I guess, having popular artists and, the classic bands recreate the Sunday morning theme song or Saturday morning theme songs from cartoon shows, including Spider-Man. And they did it for all 4 Spider-Man titles. They did it for The Amazing Spider-Man. This one is for Spectacular Spider-Man, the second, most long-running one. I believe Web of Spider-Man had been canceled at that point. But we had Sensational Spider-Man, which was the new book featuring Ben Reilly as Spider-Man. This is issue number 1 of that. And then last but not least, of course, the run that started off with Todd McFarlane in the early 90s, just the regular Spider-Man run. All 4 of these, like I said, variant covers. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I had one of those as a kid, at least one, but yeah, I don't know where it went over the years. And really, really cool that all 4 were in there. I'm going to move on now to some interesting ones. We've got some foreign comic books. Now, the original owner for this collection was in the military at one point, and he was stationed overseas in various places. And that's where I assume he picked up these books. This one, not really sure what language is in, but there's a lot of the two-dot accent, which I know in German is called an umlaut. But this is definitely not German because I know a little bit of German. This is probably like Swedish or Norwegian or, from Holland, maybe, Newfoundland, something like that. I'm not really sure, but I'll do a little bit more research. And this is the cover of Swing Shift #1, a book that I've talked about a bunch. So I'm going to kind of look into this one and see if that's what's on the inside, because not always do the cover and the inside story actually match up. But yeah, that's a really cool one. The rest of the languages, I figured out what they are. This one says X-Men Deutschland, which Germany. That's a pretty cool one there. And this one, the next 2 are both from Panini Comics, which does a lot of Europe. They're the publisher for a lot of Europe. This one, Spanish, and this one, Italian. So we got a little Fantastic Four action in both Spanish and Italian, both from Panini, and a really awesome cover there. And this last one, never, ever have seen a comic like this before. It's in Arabic. At least I'm pretty sure this is Arabic, and maybe someone can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I can't read it. I'm not really sure how to figure out any information on it. So if you know anything about this book, let me know. If you speak Arabic, definitely reach out to me, because there were a couple of them in there, and I'd like to kind of know what they are. Mostly like cartoon-related things, Scooby-Doo, Looney Tunes, all that stuff. On to the next thing, we've got some error printings, or rather just one error printing. I posted this one on on Instagram already. This is X Factor 92, part of the Fatal Attractions run. It's also the first appearance of Exodus, a character that I'm doing a little speculating on for the distant future of the MCU. But what makes this copy interesting is it's missing the hologram right here. And it almost looks like it was there at one point, but it wasn't. I kind of like felt it, and there's no like rips where it would have like been ripped off or anything like that. And there's no damage to the cover. It looks like it was never there. A couple people have told me they have seen these before, but they are very, very hard to come by. Usually you'll find ones with the blue hologram, black hologram, or cracked hologram. This one apparently is a lot more difficult to find, so I'm going to be holding on to this one in my personal collection for the foreseeable future. This next one's kind of interesting. This is a Dark Child, it says the Fan Club box, which was a Dynamic Forces product. And it seems like it's just a box and there's a bunch of comics inside. It's sealed on the back, though. There's a Dynamic Forces sticker right here that keeps it sealed, and I did not want to take it off. I did not want to remove that just in case someone wants it in the intact sticker form, completely sealed up. So I did not open it up. I did look online, and it looks like on eBay people are asking like $50 or $60 for these. And I looked inside. Yeah, looks like it was some comics, some certificates of authenticity and things like that. So if you're a Dark Child fan or know anyone that is, have them message me, and maybe we can work out a deal on this. Not really something that's going to stay in my personal collection. I'm not really a fan there, but hey, if you want it, let me know. This next one, now, I got a little too excited about this at first. Then I realized, oh, wait, this isn't the magazine. This is the Treasury Edition version of Empire Strikes Back from Star Wars. This originally was a magazine size release, and it was actually the first in-print version of Boba Fett. Even before he came to the comic books, he was in this. Now, his comic book first appearance is the one that seems to harbor the most value, but this is still very sought after by collectors in both magazine form and in this one. This one's just worth a little bit less, about half of what the magazine seems to be worth, going on eBay. This is an oversized Treasury edition, as you can see, compared to a comic book. It's about twice as big. If you have questions about these, go check out my video on Treasury editions. I put it out a couple months ago and talked about these because I had picked a bunch up in a collection. But yeah, looks awesome nonetheless. And I have a bunch of Star Wars ones of these, so it'll probably go with those. And they don't really fit in my collection. So again, this one will be up for grabs at some point in the near future. Not the last section. We got two more things, I believe, to show you guys. Yep. Some more interesting ones right here. These, I don't know anything about them, but we've got a couple different releases by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. This one is called The Story of Money. We've got foreign trade and exchange, as well as inflation. These are all like the story of. That's a pretty hot topic right now, huh? And then we got the story of consumer credit and the story of checks and electronic payment. What I think this was like an educational release of comic books, to get kids learning about money and the Federal Reserve and all that stuff. And then this is the story of banks and thrifts. And this last one, it's not the story of, it's called Once Upon a Dime. Yeah, really interesting little thing. I looked these up. It seems like people have some of these. Prices are all over the place, though. I don't really know. If you have any information on where these came from or why they were done or how they were distributed or anything like that, let me know in the comments below. I'm always trying to learn more things about the comics that I pick up. Now, the last thing, this is honestly probably the coolest thing in this collection out of all the weird stuff, is this guy right here. And I posted this on Instagram already, so you might have seen it. And I was asking questions about it because I really didn't know. We got Superheroes Collector Album from a company called Leaf. Now, from what I've heard from other people, as well as my own research, Leaf is a Canadian publishing company, distribution company, something like that. And they, had the rights to use these characters, the DC characters, and make this little album. Now, apparently, what it was is you could get these little tiny comic books, little small, maybe less than quarter size, like maybe like eighth size comic books. And if you got them all, you could like send in your proof of purchase or whatever and end up getting this album. This album actually is made to hold those comic books. So I'm going to open this up now and kind of show you what the inside looks like. And I was extremely surprised and very excited when I did open this up to find that all of the comic books were actually in there. So these are all different characters involved with, Justice League. We got Hawkman, Aquaman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and then we have a Justice League book right here. And these are all origin stories of these characters. And then, of course, the origin story of how they came together in the Justice League. And they are little tiny comics, and they're really cool. I'm trying to be really careful with them because don't want to mess these up, because these are certainly a nice little collector's item. But yeah, you can see they are like full comic books on the inside, telling the origin story of these characters. And on the back, it's got what you need to do. It says Superheroes Collector Album Offer, and it gives you an address and lets you know to put your, check or money order in, and you put your address right there, and they would send you this collector's album. So I guess you had to cut one of these up and send it back in. But yeah, apparently you got these little comics from buying candy, and as you can see, it's got a picture of the comic underneath of which one goes where. So if you collected all of them and cut up the back of one and sent it in, and you could get this thing. I actually saw on eBay that a crumpled up, like seriously, it was like almost destroyed, just the album with none of the comic books sold for like $67. And I saw someone asking like $150 for a nicer version, but again, without the comic books. I've been thinking about the price of this, and I've had everyone tell me bunch of different numbers ranging from like $300 to $500 in the condition and completeness that this is. I don't even know if I want to get rid of it though, because it's so unique and so interesting. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Anyway, this was some oddities, some unique things, some signed books, some variant covers, and even some cassettes with Ramones playing the Spider-Man song. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a little bit different than the things I normally talk about, even my other haul videos and collection breakdowns. But make sure you hit that like button on the way out, leave a comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel. And until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.